All right, name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Abuna Tadrus Ya'ur, he wrote these two books about the School of Alexandria, before Oregon and after Oregon. That's what I told you. And the last time too, I told you about Abuna Thomas in Melbourne. He wrote some, but that was quick. This one more details. Okay, and there's some in the encyclopedia and Nicene and post-Nicene, anti-Nicene, you found some people wrote about the School of Alexandria too. What I do today, is a history. It's a huge chapter. You can't cover history in 1 year, whatever. All right. So what we do, I get the important part, the Pope and the Saint. He make a big part in the history of a church. What I will do, the story, I will summarize in 5-10 minutes or 7.5 minutes we can cover. But definitely, if you want to search, if you want to more resource, it's a lot available. I can send you some, and I bring this one. You can take the name, you can search, you can see if they put it PDF or not. I prepared a 4 story today. First one, the Pope number 12. Second one, the Pope number 16. Third one, Didymus the blind, was head of the School of Alexandria for 53 years. One blind person to be this year, that means something different than anyone. And we talk about Oregon. Oregon, the most person intelligent in the Coptic history, this person. If you read any encyclopedia, you found they write about who's the Oregons coming from Alexandria or School of Alexandria. We'll start first about Pope Demetrius the 12th. Okay? If you want to take note, take. If you want to put your phone on vibrate, I appreciate, because we need to focus, we need to finish in time. Okay, if any story I went to more than 10 minutes, just tell me, I move to second one. The Pope number 12 is a called Pope Demetrius. He was work in vineyard. Okay? The Pope number 11, his name Julianus. So, end of the day, coming to him, so the angel of the Lord, they told him, the person coming tomorrow, they give you the grapes, this is the one you hold him, he can be next pope. Wasn't like this time, they have to make mass and someone select, no. This one, they took it from the story of Jonah, but in the history of the church, in the beginning, the pope, before he died, he will pray, God tell me who leads the church after me. So this Pope Julianus, number 11, he was praying, God tell me who leads the church after me. So the angel of the Lord, he said, a person coming tomorrow, he give you grapes, bunch of grapes or big grapes, and he's the one gonna be a pope. In that time was no time for grapes. In that time was the time they have to cut the tree of the grapes so that when the season come to be strong. So this farmer, he was working in his farm, he found a strange bunch of branch of full of grapes. In the Bible they say you have to give the first always to the church. If you have the first child, dedicate him to the church. If you have first wage, you have to put in the church. If you have first present or whatever, put in the church. That like the tithes, that's all. So this a simple person, he saw this one, he was surprised. How come this come in this season? I have to give it to the Pope. He went and greeted the Pope. The bishop was around him because he nearly died, so they want to talk to him or greet him. He told them, hold this person, he's gonna be next pope. They hold him, he said, I'm married, I can't be a pope. The pope, he said, the angel, he said, this man. He said, I don't know how to read or write. They said, hold him, this gonna be next pope. He found he can't run, he cannot escape, they make him a pope. Okay, because they make him a pope, number one, he need to learn. It was a simple writing, just read and write. To be a Pope of Alexandria, this is the second position or first position in the church of the world as a theological person or as a person who knows theology. So definitely he's a simple person. So he used to bring المعلم بتاع الكنيسة, the one he teaching the hymns, المعلم, he teaching people. He sit, the Pope sit in his throne and المعلم sit under him. To try to understand anything, the Pope cannot understand. So he start to ask God, how I can lead these people if I cannot understand? He tell him, because you sit in your chair, if you really want to learn, put your teacher up and you sit under his feet. Next day, he start to do this one. God opened his mind, and this the Pope was ignorant in our eye. He write the calculation of the Easter. By the way, I try to study this one. It's very complicated. To decide to say the Easter every year, which day, it's very complicated. Anyone he tell you I can do, don't believe. I have my friend who was with me in theological college. He tried and he got PhD only to how you calculate the Easter every year. So this Pope, he started bring the moon calendar, was normal calendar, and he put the pharaonic calendar, he put all the calendar together, and he start to organize after God opened his mind, and he do the Easter every year. He passed away 191. In the Council of the Church 325, when the church was discussing how we can organize the day of the Easter, because some of the churches, they said Jesus lived 33 years, we celebrate only Easter every 33 years. Some of the churches stand up, they said we can't do this. That means some people born and pass away and they never celebrate Easter. Some of the churches, they said, all right, the crucifixion happened Friday and was the Passover first Sunday after this. They start to ask which day of the month of April, because in this time you have to celebrate April or May. That's why you found our Easter different. So the Coptic churches, they said, we have this calendar. Our Pope, he died longer time, 100 years ago, he done this calendar. They said, show us. They start to understand every found our Easter have to come after the Passover. And because Jewish, they use the moon calendar, every year can be different. That's why when you hear or you follow, they tell you we need to fix the Easter with the Catholic, we tell them forget it. They try many years before and they can't do it. So they said the best calendar we found to calculate the Easter, the Coptic Orthodox and the Church of Alexandria, they used to every year send the church around the world until year 1571, something like this, to tell them every year when you can celebrate the Easter. From this Pope, the one he was married, the one he was ignorant, the one God lighting his mind and open his mind to understand. A nice story happened to him too. People start to whinge, how come our Pope married? By the way, in that time, the bishop allowed to marry. That's why you found in the Bible, they used to marry. But after the Council of the Nicaea, first council, they said any bishop cannot marry because he married the church, they banned this one. But because the people in the church, they used to see that, because in Janus first Pope...
Sorry, time delivery.
Sorry, guys.
In Janus first Pope, remember after we talk about Saint Mark, the first one he ordained him, he was married and have kids. So they can't let him divorce because they continue until Council of the Church in Nicaea, 325, they said no more anyone married to be a bishop, have to come from the monk. So they said, how come our Pope Demetrius, number 12, he married? So the angel of the Lord, he told him, you cannot save your life and let people worry and talk too much about you and your wife. So after the mass, he told no one leave the church. He got the wife a scarf and he got the incense and he put the incense in the wife's scarf and they start to walk around the church. If you put the incense in the scarf, what's going to happen to the scarf? Burn, whole fire. They found he walk around all the church, the scarf didn't burn, nothing happened to him. So people start to wonder what happened. He said, because I live with my wife as a brother and sister. My dad forced me to marry. In this time, you have to obey your parents. So I have to marry, but when I married, my wife, she want to go to monastery. I want to go monastery. Also monastery, but they live as for God, dedicate their life in God like Ambabola. So I obey my parents, but I told my wife we live as a brother and sister. That's why we live as a brother and sister. And people amazed how they do this one. We talk about the calendar. We talk about we use this one until, okay. One of the last part of his life, he put Origen in the head of the school of Alexandria. Okay, he's the first one put Origen, the head of the school of Alexandria. We'll talk about his story. That's why I want to jump from one to one so you understand the story. Clement of Alexandria, very important, but we will have no time to cover his story. Clement of Alexandria, during the persecution, he left Alexandria because the Romans want to kill him. So he left. Pope Demetrius, he found there is no head of Alexandria. They found Origen, and we will talk about Origen. They put Origen. Origen in that time was 18 years old. I will back to his full story. But the idea, Origen was the most smart person in the world history. You will hear about it. This person was a Coptic. Like I said before, you search any encyclopedia about his name, you found this person. I will tell you why they say the most person like this and why he's very smart. Okay. All right. We move to next story. Next story about the Pope number 16. The Pope number 16, he was a pagan. But why I choose the story to see the work of God in the church. So when you see Abuna do something, and when you see the wisdom of Pope Tawadros say something, when you see the wisdom of Pope Shinoda done something, people do not understand. But the work of God through these people, he guides the church. Maybe we not understand now, but we understand later. Amba Armenia, just a story side the story, he was talking about the Pope Shinoda. During, we have a killing Christian in Egypt. So the America sent some people to investigate the persecution and killing a Christian in Egypt. And they come to see the Pope Shinoda. Pope Shinoda refused to meet them. They try again. The embassy straight away of America in Egypt, the time they hear he come from monastery, because he used to have the week in monastery, second half in Cairo in cathedral. The second half he come straight away. The time he arrived, they have their intelligence. They send the people come from Congress of America to investigate the persecution of the Copt. Pope Shinoda refused to meet them. Anyone got persecuted or have hard time in Egypt, they say the Pope Shinoda, why he not protect his children. But Amba Armenia, he said, after 2 days, the President Mubarak sent his assistant to sit with Pope Shinoda. The president, he tell you, thank you very much. He didn't meet these people. And he tell you, if anything you want, we can help you. Do you understand? Because people, they not see the picture outside. All the problem happened with Pope Shinoda and the President Sadat, because President Sadat, he wanted the Egyptians, the Christian to go Israel. Pope Shinoda, he said, we're not going to let the Christian to go Israel until Muslim and the Christian to go. Because the plan, they want to kill the Christian in Israel. So Pope Shinoda was led by the Holy Spirit. He said, we doesn't want the Christian to go unless the Muslim was them. So if something happened to the Christian, will happen to what? The Muslim. These people, different than what we think. Okay, we'll go to the Pope number 16. His name, Pope Dionysius. His job was a doctor. And he loved to read. He loved reading, he loved reading, he loved reading. Because he loved reading, so one lady, he wasn't a Christian, he pagan, he believed in the star and the moon. One day he saw a lady selling books. So in that time when they sell books, they selling like, some paper together. So he found the episode of St. Paul. He read it, he found very nice. Next day the lady come, he said, come here, I need one more for what you give me. She gave him one more. After 1 week he met her again, I need more. She said, listen, if you want more, go to church. You will find all what you want. He went to church, he met a deacon, his name Augustine. He started to give him the Bible, he started to read. He met the Pope Demetrius and he baptized. And after he baptized him, he make him later on as a priest. And the time come, they make him as a Pope. From someone pagan and someone he doesn't know anything about God, he sent something in his way. He start to read, God opened his heart from someone pagan to be the Pope of the school or the Pope of the Church of Alexandria. And one time he was the Pope or he was the head of the school of Alexandria. In his time was a lot of persecution. The Romans start looking for him. Where do you think the Pope can hide? Where he can hide? He said in his writing, I stay 4 days in my home to wait for them to come to take me. But they never think he can be at home. They think he's escaping from home. They didn't find him. He said, in that time, I have to go. He left home and they found him. They arrested him. They put him in jail. That's his writing. After they put him in jail, someone was going a wedding. He found they arresting the Pope and take him to jail. They put him in jail. He went the wedding and he told them, our Pope, they arrest him, they put him in jail. Everyone left the wedding and they go to the jail. The soldiers saw these people, a lot of crowds, they run. They tell the Pope, come out. He said, no, I'm not gonna come out. I'm happy here. And they said he was sleeping at that time even. Imagine someone in jail sleeping. They have to carry him, they get him out. Something happened in his time was big headache for the church for a long time. What happened? During the persecution, some people deny their faith. So they tell them, put incense to the idols. They persecute them very much. Some people weak, they do. Some people, they said, no, we cannot do, and they get martyred. After the persecution finished, these people, they want to come back to the church. So what the church do about them? Was a lot of dialogue. Again, they ended with the council of the church. They said, if anyone can come back to the church, we cannot repeat his baptism, but we give him a spiritual exercise. We give him some, not punishment, it's some maybe 1 year not have Holy Communion or something until he come back to the church.
These are the people that gave incense to the idol.
Yeah, they deny their faith during the persecution. So Church of Roman, they want them to repeat the baptism. In Church of Alexandria, they said no. Another problem happened. The people excommunicate from the church. Like when we talk about people excommunicate, like the Pope will excommunicate another Pope. When we come to the theology or when we come to the Council of Nicaea and all this stuff. They said every bishop baptize a people, this baptism not accepted. Church of Rome, they said any baptism we should accept it, even from people heresies or excommunicate. And again, the right answer was the Church of Alexandria. In that time, they said we cannot repeat the baptism of someone denies the faith, but we can repeat the baptism if he baptized under someone he's excommunicate, like when Bab Shinoda excommunicate someone before. I remember him when I was in Egypt. Okay, this person, he went to another church, I think Greek or Anglican, and he be a bishop with them. Okay, this person, if he baptize anyone and this person come to our church, the priest will tell him, no, we need to baptize you again, because he get baptized under someone excommunicate, he not the same faith with us. So this one was big dialogue in his time, and it take a lot of time for when he was a pope, and the church answer all this question, and they make it a law in the Council of Nicaea, because Council of Nicaea 325 was the biggest council. They done about 10 or 20 law for all the church around the world. And you found we will talk about a lot when we talk about Saint Athanasius. So I finish Pope Dionysius. If anything, he started 191. He's a Pope number 16, 195. His parents was pagan. He was believing the star. That's all about him. Again, we just to go quick about his story. I need to focus about two people. Okay. First one we'll talk about Origanus first, because this guy, It's a very important. Okay. Oreganus. These books here of Oreganus, we're going in the right in the time, okay? Because we will do conclusions on the. Okay, all good. Oreganus, number 3. Oreganus. Okay. This was amazed person. This person, what you know the history about him. There is no any person in the history, people have a conflict against people and people have opinion against other people about like this person. Oreganus, in our church, you have to understand, we not call him a saint, we call him a scholar. You understand? Because he done some heresies. One of his heresies, he said the devil will, after this one, after he got punished, he will be saved. He repent and be saved. We as a church will say no. He said the sin of Adam and Eve, it's not disobey, it's adultery sin. The body, he said that's adultery. Another one, he onic himself. I don't know how is translation. The people onic themselves. He done it because he used to teaching a lot of women, so no one can talk about him. He done this to himself, and after this one, the church of Cappadocia ordained him as a priest. That's why make the Pope very angry for him and they let him leave the school of Alexandria. And who stopped him from teaching? Pope Demetrius. He stopped the most intelligent person in the world, maybe until now. Okay, we'll go through his story. He wrote about 6,000 books. When he used to talk, he had 7 people this way and 7 people sitting this way. These people write word for word, and these people write shorthand. That's why they said, because he wrote a lot of books, he has no time, the people supporting him, he has no time to read what he write. They publish the books and he has no time to review. That's why we found these heresies. But Ambabshoy, he answered a lot of stuff like this. Abuna Tadrus, he supported him very well, he loved him. Ambabshoy, he done about maybe say 10, 14 heresies about him. But always what we take the good from people. We don't know what's happened. But like the conclusion, the church not call him a saint, they call him a scholar. Okay. They call him Oreganus. Oreganus, what the mean? It's a pagan name. His name like god of Horus, of Pharaonic time. He born in Alexandria. He has about 6 brothers. His dad was very good Christian. And his dad later on get martyred. Oreganus, he tried to get martyred many times, and God was keeping his life, but in the end of his life, they start to persecute him until he died. So it looks like martyr. His dad used to give him every day part of the Bible to memorize. He found his son read more and memorize by heart. Like he tell him, today you start to study the Sermon of the Mountain, Matthew 5, 6, and 7. They found him memorize perfectly. And he started to ask his dad some question. He said, even I cannot answer. But I start to tell him, do not read more than what I tell you and do not ask a question more than what your age. But he said, in that time, I was thinking my son, he can be something very big in the church. They said when he sleep, he can open his shirt and kiss the heart. He said this heart was going to be very blessed in the church. The persecution start. His dad was, his name Lontinus, and it means the lion or the lion. The persecution, they arrest his dad because he's a Christian. In that time, you are a Christian. So they arrest him and his dad coming to get martyr. His son, Oreganus, he want to go with his dad. In that time, he has only 17 years old. What his mom done, his mom hide all his clothes so he cannot leave. She said, don't leave us, your dad will be martyr. And in that time, we have no one look after us. So because he cannot leave home, he sent a letter to his dad. He said, Dad, put in your mind, don't worry about us, but go confess your faith. And did his dad get martyred? So not only the Bible affected him, plus he come from the family, his dad was a martyr. After someone get arrested and martyred like this, they have to take all his money, everything at home. He found himself very poor. He started teaching people in the school of Alexandria. School of Alexandria, they not have room like this. You can get a group and sit and have dialogue with them. Okay? So he started teaching people about grammar, about some of the language, about. One lady, she told him to teach her, look after her library, but he found this lady have someone, he's begging, teaching in her home. He left her. He said, no, I'm not interested. After this one, he loved reading. They say he was walking and reading. When he eating, reading. He said he used to hire the library, wake up all night, read and read and read. After this one, the Pope Demetrius, he make him the head of a school of Alexandria when he was 18 years old. And the time he be the head of a school of Alexandria, he changed everyone coming from overseas to learn in the school of Alexandria. From the people coming to learn from him was a lot like Saint Gregory and Saint Basil, all these people of Cappadocia, the one we mentioned in the Mazasri, Gregorian, Saint Basil, all these people come and they learn from him and they used to love him. That's why the time he has a problem in Egypt and the Pope stopped him to teach, he went to them, and that's why they ordained him a priest, and the Pope wasn't happy from him. His disciple was the next Pope after Pope Dionysius. His disciple, or he's the one he teach him, he was the next Pope. They said he was a very, very spiritual person. He used to live what he preached. They said he used to walk barefoot. He used to his clothes very small, very, very cheap. He used to sleep in the floor and the fasting all day. They said because he started teaching people about Christianity, because they know him and people, they see how wise this person, a lot of people come to Christianity. So he divided his college to two groups. First group, the people looking after them, Euroclus, the one he will be the Pope, the young one, the people recently, and he look after the old people, the bigger people in the face, and put them. He want to be martyr, so he used to people get arrested in jail, he go serve them, he go give them food, he give them money, support them, so to get martyr, but he said God didn't allow me to get martyr. He went to 3 big trip. The Pope, when he has any problem outside, so one day, and this one of the heresies too, we'll talk about later on, one of the bishop, they said the soul die with the body. You know, we have soul, we have a spirit, we have body. So our soul will be with the spirit, okay, and the body. So we have 3. The time you die, the soul and the body be together, the spirit only go to God. But when we raise again, you found the soul with the body, because the soul, animal have a soul, but they not have a spirit. We as a human, we have a spirit. The spirit that's the breath of God never die, but we have a body and soul. The soul tell you I'm hungry. The soul you want to marry it. The soul you feel the feeling and all this one for the body, like animal. When the animal want to eat, that the animal have soul and body. So one of these heresies, they said soul will die, or the spirit will die with the body. He went and he fixes his heresies in this. The Pope sent him. One of the trip he went to one of the country and he teach Saint Barbara. Saint Barbara, in her life, she was a pagan, but she hear his sermon and she converted to be Christian, and we know the persecution until she get martyr. He wrote 6,000 books. One of the translation of the Bible, his page have 6 columns. Every column, if you got the book of Matthew chapter 1, you found chapter 1 in one column was Greek language, one line was Hebrew language, one line was Latin, one line was Pharaonic, one line was Coptic. Every page in his, they call it Sudaseya, I don't know by English, but every page, if his book He wrote all the Bible with 6 language, and he has another shorter one with 4 colon, and another one with 3 colon. They said there is no human being God created so far can read all what Origenes, the scholar Origenes, he wrote. He wrote 6,000 books. He described and he explained all the Bible. He used to, in 2 groups, he can explain the book of Isaiah in one group and the book of Genesis in another group in the same time. Explanation of the Bible. To see how this person was amazing. Yes. He went to Palestine after he got conflict with the Pope Demetrius, and he established a theological college over there. And all the scholars, they said the time he left the theological college get weak. We have the theological college stop for a long time until the Pope Carolus, Pope Carolus 110, he tried to open again, didn't open. The Pope Yusuf, he tried, didn't open. Just they start, during the Pope Yusuf, he started sending some monk to open, and after this one person, his name Philoseus, and after this one, when Habib Girgis come back, start establish and they start to open, and the Pope Shinoda was one of these people. So the worst time in the Coptic Church is the time they closed the school of Alexandria. Because when I did a lot of search, the time they closed the school of Alexandria, we have about, I think, 60 or 70 Pope. They ordained them from the monastery of San Macarius. Because the monastery of San Macarius was the only monastery has a very big library. So always they pick up the educated Pope. And in that time was the most educated monk was the monastery of San Macarius. So to show you, and the time they open the theological college, you see they make it morning, night, you see it's a lot of students study. Not only they done it in Cairo, with a lot of branch around Egypt, and now even we have in Australia, we have in America.
Is this the college opened again just before Pope Carolus VI was
Yes, only before that after. Yeah. Well, it was very sad. That's why you found the Protestant come Egypt. That's why you found the Catholic come Egypt. The priest in that time wasn't educated at all. The priest died, his son be a priest, the church was weak. That's why during the Pope Yusuf and Pope Macarius, he stayed 1 year. He done a law in the church. There is no allowed any priest to be ordained unless he finished the theological college 2 times. He stay about 1 year or 2 years. I did his life story. Was very nice. One was very educated. Pope Yusuf, he has PhD from outside Egypt. He was very educated, Pope Yusuf, but in his time was some problem. All right, we need to go to last one. How long time we have? 20 hours. I finished before because we can take question if you have question. All right, Didymus the blind. Okay, Didymus the blind. He was born 313, so very close to Nicaea, Council of Nicaea. He lost his sight when he was 4 years old. The only one I hear, the 14 years old, was Pope Shinoda. He said this. I listen to a lot of people. I read a lot of stuff. I don't know where is Pope Shinoda bring it, but because when I say 2 dates, that means this one not correct, that means not this one correct. When you give anything, always you say the people opinion. Don't put your opinion until you're sure 100%. So I told you, some scholars, they said he lost his sight when he was 4. Some they said no, when he was 14. Both can be correct, both can be wrong, or maybe new search come. Always don't give your opinion until you're sure 100%. Something always, you don't know, say I don't know, I'm not sure. This is very good even for you as a servant. If some of the students will ask you question, no one know everything. Try to not, I'm kind of embarrassed if I said I don't know. No. Better say I don't know. Then you say something and later on they know it's wrong because just now with the phone they can get all the information. No one know everything. Okay? So he lost his sight when he was 4 years old. That's a book of Abuna Tadrus Ya'ub, and he got from books of Nicaea and post-Nicaea. He's very intelligent person. he started to create the writing, braille writing. He created this one 1,500 years before Helen Keller. Helen Keller, the one she create the braille writing. The writing was, you can with your hand touch to read. This person he created because he wanted to learn the Bible. They said he knows the Bible back to front by heart. He explained all the Bible. And he was the time of Pope Athanasius, the most intelligent pope in the world in that time, the one he wrote the Creed, one of the people wrote the Creed. And he was in the time of Saint Anthony the Great. And the Pope Athanasius, he chose him to be the head of his school of Alexandria. He stayed in the school of head of Alexandria for 52 years. And he died about, I think, 85 or not 85, yeah, something like that. When he was 33, they put him in the school of Alexandria. Saint Anthony was his best friend. Saint Palladius, he visited him 3-4 times. Saint Palladius, if you don't know him, the one he wrote the Paradise of the Father, Bustan al-Ruhban. So anyone he want to be a monk, they tell him read this one about 10 times before you go. They tell you the track and the trip and the devil do the monk, and they tell you how you live in the desert, how you can conquer the devil, all this one. They call Paradise of the Father. Palladius, he used to go sit with this monk, tell me your experience. Sit with this monk, what's your life story, and he put all them in the books. It's translated in English. They call it Paradise of the Father, Palladius. So one day Palladius visit him, and the Didymus, we call him Saint by the way, the blind. He told him, please can you pray? He didn't want to pray. So tell him, please can you pray? He doesn't want, humble, he want to know you pray. The head of the school of Alexander. He said, listen, Saint Anthony in that time, something very, very big, very big. He said, when Saint Anthony come here to this home, and I tell him pray, straight away he stand up and pray. And if you want to follow his steps, and I believe you want so, you need when someone tell you pray straight away. Teach him a lesson. Number 2, very important, one day Julianus, the empire, he was persecuting the Christian too much. So Didymus stand and pray. He said, I will fast God until you stop him from killing the Christian. He said, I was sitting at night. He didn't eat all day. He found the angel of the Lord coming in the room. They said, tell Didymus, Julianus died. He said, I wrote the date and the time and exactly, and they tell him to eat until the Pope Athanasius, Julianus, the empire, the persecute the Christian. He wrote everything on the date and time exactly, and they found it in the date and time to show how important the past. He was supporting Origen very much all the time. He supported him all the time. They said he explained the Bible, every book of the Bible he explained. He said he was very intelligent in mathematics, and they don't forget he blind. He very intelligent in grammar. He very intelligent, and even the people outside the church, they said if you visit Cairo or Alexandria and you didn't visit Didymus, that means you didn't visit Alexandria, because Didymus can most famous person in that time. And I told you last time about Jerome. Jerome, someone very important in the church. He has little bit different than a little bit only small stuff. When we read about him, we take it carefully, but very important. Jerome, he's the one who wrote the story of Saint Anthony by Latin to teach people in Europe monasticism. That's why any monastery you found in Catholic outside Egypt or any monastery, they have to have the reading of Saint Anthony, translated by Didymus by Latin language. They call Vita Anthony. Because this original story was written by Saint Athanasius. When they exiled him, like we talk, they found everyone come around him, ask him about Saint Anthony. You have in Egypt Saint Anthony, tell us about him. He said, I can see you want to know his story, and they start to write his story. They said one day the Pope of Rome, they want a book about the Holy Spirit. Jerome, he told them the best book ever written about the Holy Spirit, Didymus he wrote, what I can do translate it, and he translate and give it to him. Didymus, he looked after the school of Alexandria 52 years. In year 1941 in Egypt during one of the war, they found a cave, they opened this cave, they found a papyrus, about 1,800 papyrus to Didymus' explanation of the Bible. Mostly book of Isaiah and a lot of stuff. He attended in his time, 4 popes come in his time. One nice one too about Didymus, the blind. Saint Anthony asked him question. He tell him, Didymus, did you really upset because you lost your sight? He didn't answer. He asked him again, did you really upset because you blind? He didn't answer. So Saint Anthony asked him again, did you really upset because you lost your sight? He said, yes. He said, why you upset you lost your sight? But God, he gave you the inside sight, he can see the angel and the saint of the Lord. He said, he told me this, I was comfortable and happy. I think enough for today. Enough, yeah, I don't want to too much, but I give you the outline of each story. Have a look to this book. Next time, I'm around 14th of May. I think I will double check, but I saw it last night before I come. We will talk about the Pope 17, the Pope 18, and the Pope 19. The Pope number 18, the shortest ever Pope, stay in the school in the Church of Alexandria. Why? We will talk about next time. Any question? If you want a book, guys, for your friend, whatever, he attending the Mass Friday. If you want to have a look to this book, because I have to take, because this is the only book, only copy I have. I got it from the church. In the monastery, if you go to the monastery, I think he found these books. If anyone understand the Arabic, this one of the saint, very important saint, Sidhum Bishay. Can you see the photo? This is a deacon, his body full, he can stand up. And Babsho used to put him stand. They prosecute him too much in Domyat. And now we allowed to put the cross in the church after what's happened to him. The European people come to the church, the Egypt pushed them hard, and after this we allowed to put the cross in our church for the sake of this Saint Sidhum Bishay. Remember, we have a church, we are maybe second church in the world, only after his name here in Dural, Saint Sidhum Bishay. If you understand Arabic, this one in Arabic, this is one of my topic in TV, because I love this man. It was very good to show how important the deacon in the church. Okay, if you want for your family, if they understand Arabic. This Friday, I will talk about Santa Anastasia. Do you attend the Mass today? Did you hear the sermon about this lady? They cut her leg, and she never complained about why God you do this to me. Okay, and God he used her a lot, and she appear now and she make a lot of miracle. Any question? Anything?
You know, with Oregon,
Yeah.
lots of the Eastern Orthodox Church are completely against it.
But Western Church, they make him saint. Catholics, they call him a saint. Do you believe? That's why you have one person here, his name Oregon. His family was Catholic, maybe. Yeah, definitely, because the Catholics, they say he's a saint. We say, nah, we call him a scholar, because he done 3-4 heresies, I told you. If you look to the story, he onyx himself, they excommunicate him, or they tell him you cannot be saint. Saint Simon the shoemaker, he takes a verse and he block out his eyes, they make him a saint. Ask yourself, why we make this guy saint, and why is this guy with saint? Think about, answer me next time. Any question before we pray? I don't want to keep you, maybe you get something to drink before you go.
Any questions, guys? No? Okay, we start with prayer.
Thank you.